My name is Matt Fox. I'm coming to you live from Rostock, Germany. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Once again, it is a day to be worried because there is a very, very unhinged man in the Oval Office, and he is causing so much chaos around the world that it's getting out of control. Allies are telling the Trump administration, do not be using our bases for your attacks on Iran. And in doing so, Donald Trump is trying to, uh, he is trying to degrade NATO in regards to why they're not helping him. But it isn't about him, it's about America. This is an edition of Traitors. Donald Trump came into office and had to sign an oath of office and put his hand on the Bible to do that. And this is something that we're seeing right now throughout this administration, that each and every single one of them that have been confirmed by the Senate have gone and violated their oath of office. We're talking about Pam Bondi. We're talking about Pete Hegseth. We're talking about almost half of his administration is somehow violating their oath of office by some sort of corruption or by putting forth policies that Donald Trump is for, but yet seem to be illegal and are being challenged in the courts all around America. And so I would like to go ahead and start off today just by saying a hearty congratulations to the crew of Artemis 2. Hats off to the people that do that kind of work, astronauts flying around the moon. I, for one, could not do that. It's just a little too much for me to be cooped up in a small place. I prefer a little bit of room. So, like I said, hats off to the guys on the Artemis 2 and the young lady that is there as well. Thank you all for your service, and please come home safe. So let's get into it. Donald Trump went on a rant again, as usual, in the Oval Office, this time claiming that he was going to bomb uh, Iran back to the Stone Ages. He put out a statement on Easter talking about that he was going to blow their bridges up and blow their power plants up, and even told them in a tweet from his social media account to open up the fucking bridge, Straits of Hormuz, or you fucking bastards, or some shit like that. I mean, that is crazy that we have a president in the Oval Office making statements like this. I mean, when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me, hey, you know what, you could grow up to be president and stuff. And most parents would like to be able to tell that to their children. But when their children now are looking at the guy that's in the Oval Office right now, and I'm talking about the things that he says and the callousness that he uses in his comments against women, against other nations. I recall one time where he referred to African nations as shithole nations. I mean, or shithole countries. This is somebody that does not belong in the Oval Office. And through his fading health, I think that he would be more comfortable in a padded cell. So he is definitely showing signs of dementia. You see on his hand, he's got this little makeup on his hand every week or two, and that's because he's probably getting some sort of IVs for his treatment. Hey, what's up, Kale? Appreciate you joining. I'm gonna get to some news here in a minute regarding Venezuela. You guys would be very interested to hear that. Well, let's go on to the situation regarding Donald Trump's health. Now, everybody that's looking at this president in the Oval Office or making these statements on Truth Social are really scratching their heads and thinking maybe this guy needs to go to see a psychiatrist. Um, His behavior has become more and more erratic. It is said that he's pretty much out of contact after 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That would go with the symptoms for somebody with sundowner symptoms, and every medical professional is saying that this guy has definitely some symptoms of dementia. And for him to bring to the table conversations and statements regarding World War III and how this guy was wanting a peace prize before, but now he's talking about blowing Venezuela back to the Stone Ages. I just cannot see how it's possible that this guy is the same person that was spouting, hey, America first, right? Is the rich and powerful doing? Yeah, yeah. The rich and the powerful are doing his thing. There are very many people that were in the Epstein files that were probably in contact with Epstein, that did business with Epstein, that knew of his activities, and many of them continued to deal with him. One of them being Howard Lutnick. Now, Howard Lutnick testified before the committee that he had seen Jeffrey Epstein one time when he lived in New York. They lived next door to each other, and he went to visit him with his wife over there, and they went in, saw Epstein's place, saw the massage table, and Epstein told him, yeah, you know what? I get the good massages, yeah. So Howard Lutnick, he said, "Oh yeah, my wife and I were so creeped out that we decided we would never have anything to do with this guy again." Well, it has come out that Howard Lutnick is lying. He is lying, and yeah, I know about that too. Yes, I know about that. The Last of Its Kind says, you know, these videos are being deleted right now, and they're killing people, calling it accidents. I already know, and it's about to get worse. I hate to break that to you guys. I've been talking about this for a while. As far as 4 months ago, I was talking about what's going to happen. So when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted and Donald Trump later got into office, right? The administration went out of their way to get these files from the Epstein situation. And that's why Donald Trump was given that extra visit last year to the king in Great Britain. And he gave over some videos to the king, probably. And that's why former Prince Andrew is no longer a prince, and also facing some really tough legal challenges in the future. So, but to go back to Lutnick, this is the guy who said he was only there one time, but it turns out that this guy, Lutnick, was exchanging emails with Khan, the accountant of Epstein, and they were discussing nannies. And Jeffrey Epstein wanted some nannies. And it's, make sure you got extra videos. Yeah, yep. I got a lot of videos out there. My podcast is going almost every day. I make one or two posts. So back to the situation with Epstein and Lutnick. So they discussed nannies, and even when he met Epstein and thereafter said they were freaked out by him and this and that, it turns out that Lutnick was conversating with Khan, that was Epstein's accountant, and they were talking about him bringing nannies to Jeffrey Epstein. So it turns out that in 2013, after Epstein's first conviction, that Lutnick was going to the island, trying to create a time when they could meet and to go to the island. And he even claimed later on that, yeah, he had forgot about this visit, that he did indeed go to visit him on the island there. And he went with his wife, his kids, another couple and their kids, and some nannies. Yeah. And later on during this conversation regarding his visit to the Epstein Island, um, he said, and I quote, when we left, I took my wife and my kids, and we all left in the boat together. So, funny thing, he didn't say anything about the nannies. So, that's just one. This is one of Donald Trump's cabinet members claiming that he was visiting Epstein on his island, and the fact that he took these nannies over there and possibly left them over there. That's crazy. So let's get back to Donald Trump. Everything that goes on in America affects us here in Germany. Now, as I said, I'm an American citizen. I love LA. I miss my town, but I can't go back to the USA with Donald Trump in office because the amount of chaos that he has caused over there in America with his ICE agents, the brutality that they've been showing to even the people that they are arresting and to fellow Americans is crazy. They went out of their way in Minnesota to cause chaos. The brutality was over the top, and they ended up shooting two American citizens, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. And when it came down time for the investigation in regards to these murders, the federal officials blocked the state officials from having anything to do with the investigation. After the guy shot after the guy shot Renee Nicole Good, right after he shot her, he walked off and drove off. Now, there was no investigation, there was no accountability, and in regards to the Alex Preddy murder, I mean, it is clear as day what was happening there. Even though this man, who was a ICU nurse that helped people, helped Americans, yeah, he had a gun, but he didn't pull his gun. And it's a law over there that they can carry concealed weapons, and some people do for their own safety. So, nevertheless, these guys were out that day, and Alex Preddy was out there with his phone filming the situation, trying to watch out for other Americans and to, you know, to record the actions of these guys. So later on, they ended up yelling and screaming at one lady, pushed her down into the snow, and Alex Preddy told him, hey, you don't have to do that, you know what I'm saying? And he was helping the lady up. And as he was helping the lady up, they attacked him. They pulled him off of the lady as he was trying to help her up, pulled him down. Four guys got on top of him. Another guy came over to the scene and found out that he had a gun and pulled the gun out and stepped away from the scene. And as soon as he said gun and stepped away with the gun, the other guy stood up and shot Alex Preddy. It is in the videos to see. Now, after this murder, the state officials and police were not allowed to investigate the scene. The FBI and the individuals from ICE and Bureau of BCP or CBP, yeah, Customs and Border Patrol, they blocked any of the state officials from looking into this murder and how it happened. So, but it's clear to see in the videos what happened. So, this is the type of stuff, this brutality that Stephen Miller, who happens to be hiding right now because Donald Trump might be a little bit mad at him because he may have done some things that pissed him off. He might be next on the chopping block, who knows. But nevertheless, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, she's gone now. She's off to pasture somewhere, but she'll be getting her just desserts at some point. I can tell you that. So, nevertheless, it is disgusting. And that is the type of things that authoritarian nations do. Over in Hungary, We have Vice President Vance going over there to try to show support to boost Viktor Orban as he faces re-election. And it's not looking like it's going to be a good thing for JD Vance to go over there because JD Vance doesn't have a big following, and he's being clowned in videos in the AI world all around the world. And to AI videos, Iran is clowning Donald Trump. They are clowning Donald Trump and letting him know that all of these comments that he's making and this other stuff that he's making is war crimes. What he's doing is war crimes. He's attacking bridges. He's attacking infrastructure. You know, he's just pissing off all of Iran. You know what I'm saying? He's not killing the IRGC, the Iranian International Guard Corps. He is pissing off all of the Iranians now. All of the Iranians that he claimed he was trying to help. So, in regards to that, your president bought some weapons and sent them over there to the Middle East. He put those weapons in the hands of the Kurds. The Kurds were supposed to make contact with the representatives in Iran who were trying to maybe stage a coup or whatever. And the Kurds ended up keeping the weapons. Now, the question is, how much money did they spend on these weapons? Because that's tax dollars. That's tax dollars. And for any kind of an action like that, for a president to do that, you know, they got to share that information with the Congress and not be sharing it. So we're in a war and Congress has had no say in it. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is against his oath of office. So Article 2, Section 4, once again, for every Republican that seems to be backing this administration's continuing, disillusioned facts, disillusioned statements, there needs to be some real pushback. And until the Republican Party starts to grow some balls, then we're going to have more and more chaos. And Donald Trump's plan, his eventual plan to take over America as an authoritarian president, is going to be further along in its story. So, in order to distract from the Epstein files, this war is what he's done. And to show that Donald Trump has affirmed to be in the Epstein files over 38,000 times. He's named over 38,000 times in the Epstein files. This is the guy who Donald Trump claimed was his best friend for, 10, 15 years. They hung out together. They knew one another. You know what I'm saying? So if your friend was a pedophile and he was your friend for like 10 years, I'm pretty sure you'd know about that, right? All right. So as we look further on other situations that the Trump regime said as they were coming into office that the Ukraine-Russia war was going to be over in one day. I can end that in 24 hours. This guy has continued to lie and lie and lie, and that's why when it comes to the Iran situation, the goalposts continue to change each and every day almost. All right? So now, tonight apparently is another deadline, and the bridges and the trains and whatever are going to be all blown to pieces. Every bridge, every train, whatever. So this guy is clearly dealing with some issues. Clearly. I think, and that's just me, I think we need to, as a people, insist that anybody who could be elected to the office of President of the United States needs to have a psychological exam. Really. How is it that we get this piece of shit in office to cause so much chaos, destruction, and pain for the American people. He sends millions of dollars to Argentina. He goes and kidnaps a president of another country. He blows up boats in the waters, in international waters. He's done so many things that if any other president had done them, the Americans would be rising up. So, as far as Americans rising up, I would like to send a hearty congratulations to all the people that were involved in the No Kings protests. You guys really stood out. Thank you, Dave Clark, for your wonderful comment. Once again, we have the pedophiles on air here today. So, Russian soldiers need to go ahead and rise up. There is problems on the front. They're losing land left and right now. The Ukrainians are taking back a lot of space, and hopefully they're going to be getting some extra help soon, because I heard that there is a $1.8 billion amount from one of these countries. I think that might have been Japan, but nevertheless, hopefully the Ukrainians are going to be making some more strides on their own situation, because the Trump administration is totally on Vladimir Putin's side, because every time Vladimir Putin comes to visit, Donald Trump throws out a red carpet. So, Ukrainian doesn't want Russian land. The Ukrainians do not want Russian land. They just want the criminal Russian regime to get off their land, right? And that they stop attempting to influence what happens on their land. You see, that's what's been happening, is the Russians have been infiltrating people into Luhansk and to Donbass, and for years they have been wiring people up to tell them that they should, go back and be a part of Russia, because at one time they were all a part of the USSR. But then again, so was Poland, so was East Germany, so was a lot of other countries was a part of the USSR, and so all the Baltic nations as well. So for Vladimir Putin, it's important for him to be able to get some money to fund his war. But little by little, that money has been running out. The money that the oligarchs were giving is a lot less now than it was before, because they lost a lot of money and they're losing a lot of money now. The Ukrainians have been hitting refineries and oil fields, and once again, Donald Trump inserts himself and tries to tell Volodymyr Zelensky, hey, stop doing that. Stop attacking their... Hey, what's up, Edward? Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, all right? So, for you guys that have just joined, I'm Matt Fox. I'm coming to you live from Rostock, Germany, where I live with my wife and kids. But I am an American, and a very proud American, and also a Republican. So, and that might surprise a few of you. You think maybe he's a Democrat, but I'm not. I am a very, very avid Second Amendment friend, and I have the kind of thoughts that the Republican Party had before, but now the Republican Party has been sullied with this MAGA movement. And the whole thing about the MAGA movement is that Donald Trump, he doesn't care about you. See, he doesn't care about you. And when you're over there paying $10 a gallon for gas, then you might be wondering why you voted for him. So let's go on. So Donald Trump's disgusting news conferences are unhinged and filled with lies. And I'm talking about this guy, every time he opens his mouth to say something, he's either lying or blowing something up so where it's just supposed to be so believable that all of his MAGA sycophants believe it. But most of the time he's lying. If they would do a little bit of fact checking, they might see the truth. But he even talked, man, I swear to God, it's just amazing that we have a president of the United States that makes statements like he makes. This guy made a statement that in Venezuela, he is more popular than the guy that might take over as president over there. Now, when the elections occurred, he's polling higher than that guy. So maybe Donald Trump needs to go ahead and go over to Venezuela and be their president. Because I'm telling you what, in America, he is making a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies. And I am very surprised that he has only been, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking that the first attempt on his life was, I think it was all staged. And I feel sorry for the guy that got killed because I'm not sure that we have the real story on that situation. So the second guy that they caught over there laying in the grass outside of Mar-a-Lago with that gun, I'm not sure what his deal was, but once again, that's something for the FBI to find out. But since the FBI is controlled by the DOJ and the DOJ is controlled by Donald Trump, we're never going to find out. So, and then there was another guy that was trying to get into Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun. I mean, it's just one after another, and I'm surprised it's not been more. So at some point, the Iranians probably are going to send somebody his way, and maybe they'll have more luck than the other guys. I don't know. I'm not wishing it upon him, but I'm certainly thinking that he needs to go. So once again, Article 2, Section 4, he needs to go. Write to your senators, write to your congressmen, and please, please, please do what you can to get him out of office. So this guy has made these unhinged statements in these news conferences on Easter, dropping the F-bomb. It's supposed to be a family thing, and for kids around the world, or in America anyway, to see this guy doing things that he does, I don't know. I just can't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Growing up to be being president was like a thing, you know, back in the game. Excuse me, a little bit of tea. All right, um, so the guy is saying that he gets along with Putin. The guy is saying he gets along with Kim Jong-un. He says that Donald Trump loves Kim Jong-un, and Kim Jong-un said that Joe Biden was retarded. So once again, not the kind of statements that you want from an adult, a respectable adult, and this is the kind of support that he is getting from individuals that cloak themselves in the Christian religion, but are really just racist. They're racist because they don't want brown people in America. They're racist because they don't want other individuals from other countries coming over there, because they believe that the blood of the white race is being thinned out through race mixing. So I don't know why that's so bad, but apparently it's a big thing for them to do over there. So the government shutdown continues. Trump wants prisons to lock up American citizens who are not interested in him and having him as a dictator, and do not agree with his policies or what he says. So if Donald Trump makes a statement and you don't agree with it, hey, what's up, people on your? Give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. So, like if you don't agree, I'm talking about if you do not agree with Donald Trump, if he says something and you do not agree with him, then he doesn't want you. When the people were calling for the release of the Epstein files before the election, that was like the main thing. They were going to release the Epstein files. And what happened after he won? He tried to block the release of the Epstein files. There is over 1,000 victims. And this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, and who knows who, were possibly involved in some cannibalism. killing young girls and possibly drying out the flesh of these victims and then eating it. There's some really, you guys really need to look at the Epstein files. It's some really gross stuff, unbelievable stuff. I couldn't get through all of it, but I mean, just the things that I've read are super disgusting. There is a place in New Mexico called the Zorro Ranch. There's supposed to be some bodies buried over there from a couple of Epstein victims that were killed during some fetish sex, and these were underage girls, and if you just take a look and or just get on Google and ask how many times Donald Trump's name was mentioned in the Epstein files, just do that, and then you will find out, my friends, exactly who is so scared of the Epstein files coming out. And that's why Donald Trump tried to block the release of the Epstein files to the last second until all the Republicans said, hey, it's got to come out. So, but what happened is the DOJ, Pam Bondi, even though she said on day one, oh, the Epstein files, and they had those content creators over there with the Epstein files, supposed Epstein files, and then they asked her about the list of the Epstein people that were supposed to be part of the Epstein class over there. She said the list is on my desk. She lied, of course. And then she turned around and tried to redact all of Donald Trump's names, all of Donald Trump's friends' names. And we already know that Donald Trump thinks that way because when Marjorie Taylor Greene told him that she was going to be signing the petition, he yelled at her. He called her names that shouldn't be used. And then he called her a traitor and even called her Marjorie Trader Green. Thank you, Barry Ben. Thanks a lot. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Thank you for your comment. So nevertheless, Pam Bondi has been put out to pasture. And Pam Bondi is facing disbarment because a lot of the things that she's done have been against the Bar Association's ethics rules, and she will be facing some sort of retribution for that situation and for all the people that she has injured in regards to her actions. Also, her brother will also be facing some pushback for his situation because he was helping to sell pardons utilizing his sister's position and getting the president to sign off on those. Kristi Noem is also being investigated for her misuse of funds as she was the DHS secretary, and Tulsi Gabbard is receiving new orders from her handlers. Now, who are her handlers? That is the question. I will tell you this, it is not Donald Trump. So we're going to see how the waves are going to break. But in the end, the war with Iran is dragging our country down, and billions and billions are being spent every day. Now, we had a couple of downed pilots the other day over there in Iran. One was rescued, then the other one was rescued as well. Thank God for that. But in the attempt to rescue this pilot, a lot of hardware was lost, a few planes were lost, and each one of those planes, they're not $5 a piece. You know what I'm saying? That's millions and billions of dollars in high grade technology, and it's not going to be easy to just continue to buy more and more and more. And America already is being told by the Trump administration, we can't afford child care. Let the states take care of that. We can't afford SNAP. We can't afford Obamacare, Medicaid. So they're going to cut your medical costs. They're not going to cut your medical costs. They're going to drive your medical costs up because they can't afford, they say, to pay for that. But yet they can pay for a war with a country that did not attack us. Yeah, I give it to you. Iran's a bad country, definitely. Hey, but let me tell you something. Before the attack on Iran, there wasn't any problems with the ships going through the Straits of Hormuz. But now, there ain't no ships getting through there. And maybe one or two because the Pakistanis have been trying to talk with some people and try to get some love for the people that they are talking to. But the Americans, they're looking pretty bad. Gulf countries are looking at us stupid because of Donald Trump's stupid statements. And I foresee that those bases will not be around much longer. They're going to kick them out. And even though J.D. Vance and Donald Trump were talking to talking to the Trump administration, I mean J.D. Vance and Donald Trump were talking to the Orban administration, talking to the AfD in Germany. That's a right-wing party over here in Germany. Before, they were willing to hang out with Donald Trump or accept his, you know what I'm saying, his, whatever, you know what I'm saying, his backing. But after this little tirade and this attack on Iran, they are distancing themselves from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. They are saying, you know what? This is the right, extreme right party. They are saying that Donald Trump, because of his actions in regards to his comments in regards to Greenland and what he's done in Venezuela and what he's doing in Iran, even they are saying, maybe you guys need to pack your guys' shit and get the hell out of Germany. And you know, that's something that affects everybody here because the gas prices are also going up here. They're going up all around the world. And every nation around the world is pissed at the Americans for driving the price of gas up. There are countries that depend on that gas, that oil, to fuel their energy. And there are countries that are literally begging for this situation to end. So, once again, let's discuss the White House because the acting DOJ, Todd Blanche, has gone on TV and just said, you know what? The Epstein files is such a big deal before. We've put out all the information. We'd like to go ahead and put this yet now behind us. Yeah. They have not prosecuted anybody. They have not brought anybody to court. They have not arrested anybody. And so I find it just amazing that Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, is still sitting in the office of the president and causing so much pain and suffering around the world, and the American public is still allowing him to stay in office. It's amazing. So I hope and pray that that's going to change soon, but I would like to point out one other thing. The former president, Bill Clinton, otherwise known as Bubba, was called before the Senate committees to testify to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. They even called in Hillary Clinton, and she really never hung out with the dude. And I think she knew Ghislaine Maxwell through whatever circles in UK or whatever, but never really hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, didn't know him, right? So even called her in, you see? And these are Donald Trump's perceived political opponents, even though they can't run for the office of president, although Hillary could, but I think she's too old now anyway. But so I see no reason why other public servants or individuals related to the Epstein situation should also not be called in to testify before Congress. And I'm talking about Howard Lutnick, Melania Trump, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's friend Leslie Wexner. I think Trump invested like 500,000 or 500 million in Leslie Wexner's business. That would be Victoria's Secret. So, and also Kevin Warsh, and that would be the supposed next Fed governor or head of the Fed over there in America. So that's some serious stuff. If this guy is going to be in this position, he needs to be asked questions in regards to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So, but taxpayer money is lining the pockets left and right of other individuals in the administration. As I said before, Pam Bondi's brother was utilizing her position to help individuals that were in prison for fraud or what have you, and they let them out, and all of the money that they had to pay back to their victims, the victims had to give it back to them. So, and these are people that people cheated out of thousands, millions of dollars. So these are the people who are winning with Donald Trump. The fraudsters, the cheaters, the people who are just out for themselves. And if you're out for yourself, then maybe you need to call Donald Trump and tell him you would be willing to kiss his ring and kiss his ass and agree with everything that he says. Because if you disagree with anything that Donald Trump says, and I mean anything, even if he tells you that he scored a hole in one when you don't know damn well it took him 10 shots to make it to the hole, then he don't need you anymore. He's a famous cheater in golf. He even tried to cheat Tiger Woods. So this is a cheater, a liar. He cheated on every single one of his wives. Why does this dude have foreign wives and then is out pushing policies against foreigners? I don't understand. He's talking about stopping chain migration when his wife brought his whole family over here. I can't understand it. So keep on backing him. For you guys that are still hanging on with him, go kiss that ring, go kiss his butt. I'm not sure what it looks like, but it's probably pretty ugly. So in regards to the situation in the Ukraine war, as I said, the Ukrainians have been making some serious advances. Very happy for that. But I'm going to tell you what else has happened. Turkey is a member of NATO. Now, Donald Trump has been disrespecting NATO. And that's, for me, unbelievable. Unbelievable. NATO has been an organization that has been around for a long time. And it's been solid. Solid, solid, solid. So it seems like the Turks and the Ukrainians are now working together, and they are going to try to talk to the Russians to get the Russians to go ahead and back up out of Crimea. Thank you, Ball Striker, whatever, Bandito. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Appreciate your comment. So the Turks are going to be trying to talk to the Russians to go ahead and try to get the Russians to go ahead and back the hell out of Crimea. It's not been anything that's been feasible for a while, but now that the Ukrainians are having some more luck, it's a possibility. It is a possibility. The lines are changing daily, and the Ukrainians are having more and more success. So, Slava Ukraini. Yeah. So, Rubio, Lutnick, Kushner are still trying to suck Putin's tit, and by doing so, these guys seem to think, I'm talking about Kushner and Lutnick mostly, these two seem to think that they can start a business over in Russia if they can get the Ukraine war to end, and that thereafter that they'll be able to have whatever business there or build a building or do whatever, and that it's going to be clear sailing. But I can tell you this, Putin, much like Donald Trump, does not like it when you disagree with him. And if you don't do what Putin wants, then you end up drinking some poison or getting shot in the street or something else. So these two don't have a real understanding of who this guy is, apparently, because it's not going to be good for them in the future if that's what they're thinking. And when push comes to shove and they need to get somewhere, let them go to Russia, because it's not a great place to visit and not a great place to live. So I told you guys about the Trump administration sending these weapons to the Kurds, and the Kurds were supposed to send them on to the Iranian public, people to help themselves, protect themselves against the IRGC, and the Kurds went ahead and kept the weapons, right? Now, I'm not sure what they got for weapons. I'm pretty sure that it was no small amount of weapons. We're not talking about a few hundred AK-47s or M16s. We're probably talking about a shitload. We're probably talking at least $2 million in weapons, and I'm thinking maybe there might be some law rockets and stuff like that. I mean, some things to take out some armor, and also a lot of ammunition, right? Because the Iranian government is very, very evil, and they are willing to shoot their citizens without a problem. So, but the fact that the Trump administration did this, did not inform anybody, and did this, and now the Kurds, who have problems with the Turks, now they got a shitload of weapons. Now, how do you think Turkey feels about that? Everybody is leaving America to the side. All countries in Spain are saying, listen, you're prosecuting illegal war. We don't want you to use our bases or the bases from our countries. So, and now Trump administration is being put out as a pariah, just as much as Russia is a pariah. Now America is a pariah, because the Trump administration has put us in a situation that the countries around the world are looking at us stupid, for real. And for every one of you that is denying that, such as Ball Striker Bandito, doesn't want me to come back to America, well, I'm not going to be coming back. I'm old now. So look, I'm old. I'm going to die soon, probably. Who knows? But I'll tell you who's probably going to die before me. That's probably Donald Trump. Have you seen his hand? Have you seen his hand? Did you see that stuff on his neck? You guys, you sit there and back this guy just because he's got his old hair done nice and stuff. That's all a wig. It's all a wig. So if you saw the real Donald Trump, he's just old man. He's an old man with dementia, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. All right. So the Turks are very, very mad, and so are the other European countries, and they're not allowing them to use their bases for these attacks on Iran. And I'm not sure what is going to happen in regards to NATO, but one thing I can assure you is that the Ukrainians are doing something special in the Gulf to help the Gulf nations defend themselves against the Iranian attacks, from drone attacks and stuff like that, because they have a good amount of knowledge in regarding drone warfare. And so they're out there, they're putting themselves out there, they're helping them to protect their own nations and their citizens. And Donald Trump is not doing anything but talking about he is going to bomb the hell out of Iran's trains and bridges. And that, my friends, is a war crime. So he is giving tax dollars to Argentina, talking about rebuilding Venezuela, even made some sort of off-the-wall statement about Iran and that he would help them rebuild if they were to go ahead and overthrow their regime. This is the guy that sits in the office of the president making these statements. And for me, as a proud American and a baby boomer, I look at this guy and I already know who he is because in 1985, when I was doing a modeling gig, I was at the World Trade Center and my group was on one side and Donald Trump and his group were on another side. And I don't know who all the people were around him, and I didn't even know who he really was, but I asked my manager who he was, and he told me about this guy's reputation. And I can tell you, after that day, I really didn't even think about it. But, you know, you always saw Donald Trump's name in the news and how he was going out of business or he was doing this or doing that, being convicted of fraud and other situations. So this guy is also a sexual abuser. Look in the Epstein files, you will see the reports from the FBI from victims of Donald Trump. There's even the accountant from Jeffrey Epstein admitted that Jeffrey Epstein made a settlement with one of the victims, and that he and Donald Trump were named in this accusation from this young girl, underage girl, and she said that Jeffrey Epstein used her in bad ways, and also Donald Trump as well. So this is the guy that's sitting in the office of the president. And I just pray that somehow, some way, America is going to get out of this situation. I don't see who can come in and take the place of Donald Trump when he is out of office. Even if something happens to him, if his health goes bad or whatever, I don't see J.D. Vance having the support of MAGA. I don't see J.D. Vance having the knowledge it takes to be able to put together a cabinet that's going to be able to uphold the standards of good government. And that's what we've seen with Donald Trump as well. Not good government, but a government willing to brutalize their own citizens. So, last note, there is a bunch of facilities that the administration are having ready for prisoners. Now, it is said that that would be illegals, illegal aliens. But I'm telling you now, and I've said this before, it is not. And he's also talking about reopening Alcatraz. Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to do that? There's no airport at Alcatraz. I mean, it's not like if you're sending illegal aliens to Alcatraz that you're going to fly them off from there and send them back to other countries. So why? I'm going to tell you why, because he's preparing that for American citizens. When push comes to shove, Donald Trump is going to pull the trigger, and Americans are going to be they're going to be collected up. Democrats, people that protested, people that do not agree with Donald Trump, people that have caused him financial pain, such as E. Jean Carroll or Stormy Daniels. You know, these are people. He's got a list. He's got a list. Everybody who's done him wrong, in his mind, he's got them on that list. And I don't foresee a good thing coming in the future when it happens. So Donald Trump made some statements in regards to Iran. It leads us to believe, or some of us to believe, that he might be thinking of doing something. Phone call. I got to go. Okay. So what's funny is he trying to look 25 in the ball cap and such. I'm not 25. I'm 62. 62 is, can you believe that? Thank you. Thank you for your comment, Sojo. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for that too as well. Okay, so I got to go. My wife's calling. You guys have a good day wherever you're at. Subscribe. Thanks for your time today, and I'll see you again tomorrow.